again, students, catch up with me or Cole Watts, my co-founder, and want to send a special shout out to Zerorez for loaning us Richard for the evening. Really excited to have him here. If you are interested in sponsoring the meetup, please catch up with me or Cole. We have several very cool sponsors. We're always happy to give plugs when we can. Brand+Design, BP Studios, and TMC Meetup. And anything you want to say?
All right. Thanks again for everybody coming out tonight. And again, this is our second event. But if you guys have any ideas, any suggestions on how we can make this a greater event, definitely reach out to us.
But without further ado, I'm going to let Richard get going because we are starting a little late for traffic. So, without much more, Richard Averitte of Zerorez. It's on. It's down too far. Up here.
A little more? How about that? Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Okay. Well, good evening. My name is Richard Averitte. I'm Marketing Director for Zerorez, and I want to thank the Triangle Marketing Club for having me tonight. And really appreciate this opportunity. This is a pretty bold initiative from Chris and Cole, and seems like it's gaining some momentum. So thanks again for coming out. Again, my name is Richard Averitte, and today you saw the title of the program. Holy cow! I'm a marketing director. What do I do now? That's the PG version. So tonight, I guess I wanted to tell you about my experience, and I kind of wanted to take you through a process. And that process is when you first get a position in a marketing position, how to be successful in that position. And I want to take you through a campaign that we did that was successful. So let's start with a little bit about me. I grew up in Red Springs, North Carolina, which is about 27 miles south of Fayetteville. I attended North Carolina State University. I was an English major. I was the one. And in 1995, I had the option of going back to school or teaching or being poor. So I didn't like all those options, so I took a blind ad in a newspaper for a closing manager. And it was a closing manager for a restaurant chain, which you may be familiar with, Smithfield's Chicken and Barbecue. And for 2.5 years, I was a closing manager for now the president of the company on 4042 out of Warner, exit 312. And I worked a while for that company. In about 1999, 2000, I got very bad. I got in a very bad ski accident, and basically I had to learn how to walk again. And the doctor recommended, said, you know what, maybe running around in a restaurant's not the best way to recover. So at the time, my wife was from Hickory, North Carolina, so I moved to Hickory. And there, I began work at an advertising agency called Gotham Creative. And the gentleman's name was Woody Studemeyer, who was the owner, and Woody kind of took me under his wing, and I learned a lot about the business. In 2008, I got a call from Smithfield's again that said, hey, I hear you're really good at marketing. Would you like to help us with our initiative? And went back to work with them in 2008. And I'll be honest with you, majority of my experience is restaurant operations. I could talk comfortably about running a restaurant, running food costs, and running labor than probably more comfortably about marketing, to be honest with you. So that's kind of my background. Last year, around this time, I made a decision. I've got 2 small children, and I was tired of the 80-hour work weeks. So I made a decision to go out on my own as a marketing consultant. The company called Good Vibrations Consulting. And the idea behind Good Vibrations was to help small businesses that couldn't afford an agency of record and that didn't have the time to market. So there's a niche there, especially this startups and small businesses. I met a gentleman earlier who is kind of that same niche, and it's pretty big. And then I had a few clients, and then I got a call from Zerorez. They were looking for a marketing director. And so October 1, I took the position, and here I am today. So, I kind of want to take you through, again, the process and how to be successful as a marketing director. The first thing I always tell people, whenever you start with a company, regardless of the position, immerse yourself in the culture. Learn the company culture. It's very important because you can avoid a lot of mistakes and save a lot of money if you know your company's culture. When I say that is, Larry's Beans and Creed have pretty significant different company cultures. And some things may be important, like grassroots community things are very important to Larry's Beans. With Creed, they're probably a secondary strategy. So again, it's very important to learn their culture and also learn your company's marketing taboos. And this is very important advice for account executives. Whenever you meet a client, the first thing you ask is, what are your marketing taboos? When I say that, for Smithfield's Chicken and Barbecue, for example, our two marketing taboos were no country and western themes and no pig and chicken cartoon motifs, right? Because every time I'm an account executive and I told them about this, the first thing I always brought back some damn cartoon pig and chicken dancing. It was that every time. And I throw them out the door. So it's important you know your marketing taboos of your own company and what's important to their culture. Because again, you could take an idea that worked in a past job and it worked like gangbusters that may not work here. And quite frankly, shut up, listen, and learn. That's what I always tell people. Learn the culture. And don't be that guy, well, my old job so-and-so worked. It never works, regardless of any position. It's very important to learn what your company's culture, what's important, and learn how your company measures success. Zerorez has a very high, strict return on investment. We have a 3-to-1, we ask for a 3-to-1 return on investment on every piece of advertising. And I say that is, if we spend $1,000, we expect $3,000. We average about $250 a job. So again, if I spend $1,000 on a print ad, I'd want 12 jobs from that to get a proper investment. And that's how we measure. We manage and measure. And we take the emotion out of it so it's black and white. Now, don't get me wrong, we like with our account executives to establish a relationship. We want each to be successful, but it's important to get this ROI. And we measure it very carefully. That's one of the first things I learned at Zerorez, and in order to be successful. And also, and this is probably, what I want to a lot of people is learn your customer base. Who are your customers? When I worked at Smithfield's Chicken and Barbecue, I was a Twitter rock star. I love Twitter handle, and I gained a following through Twitter. But then I came to Zerorez, where our target market is soccer moms, and Twitter wasn't so great, and I had to learn Pinterest, which I didn't want to, but that was our target market that they talked to. So knowing who your customers are is going to save you a lot of money. And lastly, about this position, don't be a marketing snob. When I say that is, some things may not work in your past, and you think it worked here, but don't be a marketing snob. We get our best return on investment from email marketing. Anybody want to guess what the second best return on investment we get? No, we do. It's our best. No, it's our best. It's our best return on investment. I spend $200 on demand force to generate $28,000 in business. That's my first. What's the second one? You want to take a guess?
Radio.
Nope.
Facebook.
Nope. Everybody ready? Newspaper. Print. So don't be that guy, print is dead. Or don't, and there's a certain person on Google Plus who is this Google's G+ zealot who kicks sand in the face of other social media platforms. Don't be that guy either. Because you never know. You never know who you are. You have to learn the culture and figure it out. Yeah, we ran a half-page ad in the News Observer on Sunday for $600 and generated 25 jobs. I'll take that all day. Remember, you're the marketing expert. When I say that, position yourself as a marketing expert. That's very important. Because when you first start a job, it seems like there's this bad habit. You want to share everything with everybody. Hey guys, what do you think about this? Hey, here's a new design, here's an idea. What do you think about this? Well, that never works. First of all, because you're inviting a lot of opinions, a lot of second guessing, and you compromise your position, quite frankly. I mean, when Sally in accounting has a new spreadsheet, does she send out to everybody, here's my new spreadsheet from accounting? No, they don't. Position yourself as the expert. Show the one person you have to, your boss, and just go with it. Because again, it gets into a situation where there's too many cooks in the kitchen, and you got to believe what you do. And if you can manage it and measure it, it works. Communicate. The last part, when we start a position, is find out how you communicate with your boss and what they respond to. And I also suggest this to account executives. When I first started with Zerorez, every week, my boss got a simple Word document that said weekly report. And on this weekly report, it would say everything I'm doing. Public relations, press release, written press release, next step for you to approve. Radio spots, Bob Radio, next step for you to approve. Email blast, sent, waiting for results. And again, because you can easily get inundated and overwhelmed. But this number one covers your ass, shows what your boss, what you're doing. And number two, it gives you a checklist. By the end of the week, you can look at that and say, wow, I accomplished a lot. And you can just go with that. But again, it holds everybody accountable. Because it's very, very easy to get caught up on trying to find that one image or trying to find a Google Plus page, get a Google Plus verified. You can burn a lot of time with that. So really, it's important to prioritize everything and basically show your boss what you're doing. All right. Next thing, getting started. All I call this part about getting started is get your house together. When I say that is, you have to become the logo Nazi. You have to have a consistent brand message. So everything you go through, make sure you have the right logo, the right colors, and make sure it's spelled right. For some reason, people love to put a capital Z in Zerorez in the middle. And it drives me ape shit bananas. And they love to do it, but that's not right. That is not our brand. So when I started, I had to go through a bunch of advertisements, a bunch of things, and make sure that was spelled right. I had to make sure the logo was right. Establish your position and make sure everyone in your company knows that the logo goes through you. You're the gatekeeper. You are the brand master. When Sally from accounting tells you your company is going to sponsor the Little League team, and she's just going to pull the logo from the website because that'll be all right, don't do that. Sally's got to come through you. I know I'm picking on Sally. Sally's got to understand you're the boss out of the sauce when it comes to that. You're the brand manager, the brand Nazi. It's very important that you keep that consistent message. If you sell vacuum cleaners and you've got vacuum misspelled on your website, you lose credibility. It's true. You've got to make sure you look at everything, every detail is correct. Know the players. Know your account executives. Find out who you're working with. Meet all of your account executives and develop a relationship. I know Elise and Melissa and Neil, my colleagues, can appreciate this. When you first meet somebody, set the guidelines. Tell them about your ROI. Say, look, we do business. This is what we expect to get. And this is how can we work together? How can we develop a partnership? And the key with account executives, and I can say this as one, is you want to develop a relationship and not make it transactional. It's a partnership of everybody, because quite frankly, you want to help them make more money. And you want to help be able to write them a testimony. So it's very important to develop a relationship with them. And they're going to work harder for you. And I call it the client paradigm. Good payers, good communicators, and provide their own creative. I have a good relationship with our account executives because we're good payers. They get my copy about 2 weeks ahead of time, don't have to chase me down, and I write my own copy. They love me. I mean, I don't have one radio executive who calls me, is going to call me for April copy because they'll have it and they know it. I make their job easy. So if you establish those relationships and set those expectations from the get-go, everybody's going to be happy. Everybody's going to make money. Look for damage. I say look for damage. Don't try to correct anything yet. Just look for damage. Look for the misspellings. Look for the Facebook page. Look on your company's bios if you have some guy who's on the cover of the Slammer for tax evasion and still on your website. Peruse everything. You can have a coupon on yours that expired in 2013. Because you got to remember, you replaced somebody. They got fired for some reason, or they didn't have a marketing director position. So basically, you're kind of cleaning up the mess. Now, prioritize. Now, if something's blatantly wrong, change it. But just make sure everything's consistent and correct before you start the messaging. Kind of, I equate it to the restaurant analogy. Before you start cooking, clean up the kitchen. Isn't it always nice to work in a clean kitchen? Same. Sometimes you clean up somebody else's mess, but it is what it is, right? All right, creating a campaign. Know your audience. That's the classic thing, who's your audience? How do you find out about your audience? Well, we're very fortunate at Zerorez. We have a report called an L360 report. So every time Zerorez does a job for you, you get an email that says, one question, would you use this again? People say yes or no. Most of the time, they write comments, positive things. So I combed through 3 months of these L360 reports, and I looked for common messaging points. And there were 2 common messaging points I found. The first one was our system. You know, Zerorez, we clean surfaces with a green chemical, no soap, no chemical process. Carpet, tile, upholstery, soap-free, no harsh chemicals. The other common theme, common messaging point I saw was about our technicians. Bobby was so polite, he was so nice. I couldn't believe Ricky, the service he did. Jeff took me through a whole journey of carpet cleaning. And I had a hard time with it at first because we're in the service industry, right? We're supposed to dress nice, we're supposed to talk nice. It should be a given. But then I realized there's a stereotype in our industry. I think the stereotype is the guy with the mullet, with the butt crack showing, with the beat up van. We're here to clean carpets, man. And so by just doing what we do in our culture was breaking that stereotype. I would say 7 out of 10 reports talk about our technicians. So how do you sell politeness? Again, that's something you're supposed to do, right? I mean, you're supposed to be nice to people. So how do you take it from a transaction to an experience? The old Steve Jobs Apple thing, right? You know, the experience thing. So that's what you have to do. You have to make it an experience and sell it an experience. So we found our 2 messaging points, the no soap, no chemicals, and the polite technicians. But again, how do you sell that? So what we did is, first of all, we got our armory out. I don't know if you guys have seen The Matrix. Remember that scene where the white man asks for weapons and all these weapons come out all the time? And they kind of pick each one. That's what you kind of do at first. Take your whole armory out and pick your weapons. What's going to use? What's been successful for you? And then execute those 2 messaging points. We do a lot of direct mail. In the past, we had an image of just the wand we used to clean the carpets. Now we had an image of a woman, soccer moms are our target market, and a technician explaining the process. People see themselves in advertising. They saw themselves. The radio component was a little more challenging, but it turned out to be the most effective. And I was going to play the radio spot here, but the speakers didn't work. So basically, I wrote a spot for WRAL, where it's this woman, and she talks about, why do I like Zerorez? No soap, no chemical, blah, blah, blah. And the very end, her line is, the other reason I like Zerorez is because I know the technician is not going to be somebody I have nightmares my daughter bringing home. And she does that girl. That spot booked 55 jobs. And not only the message, but who was saying the message? We run spots, live reads on G105, the showground. Bob Dumas was reading spots in November, December. They were doing okay. We gave it to Erica in a live read, and she gave her take on it. It's like, oh my God, this dude, I'm worried about creepy carpet dude, as she called him. When Erica read it was 60 jobs. So again, sometimes it's not only tweaking the message, but tweaking the personality when who reads it. Because that's who our target market is, quite frankly, soccer moms. And that's where we're going to. On the radio ads, I had a lot of our rotator ads play between the one time, you know, soccer moms are in their car, 2:30 to 4, carpool. She knows. When do I post on Facebook? When they're 2:30 and 4. Know your audience, know where they're at. And then I guess the final part is the analytics guy in me is manage and measure. How do you manage and measure? Well, again with the radio ads or the print, you put a phone number, so our customer service, how you hear about us. Google Analytics, I'm a student of Google Analytics. I follow it every day. It's one of the first things I do right after I go to the bathroom. And I look and see how you can equate it. And then we measure. There's no silver bullet in advertising. There's not. It takes the right arsenal. But it's important that you manage and measure everything and tweak it. And give it time. Give it, a minimum of 3 months. And, a real good account executive will not try to sell you a 1-month campaign or 2-month campaign. They'll try to sell you on something that's going to work for you. And that goes back to the culture thing, too. I always tell an account executive, I don't want you to ever leave money on the table, but just give me the right things. I don't want you to sell me a women's mud wrestling contest, I want you to sell me the mom prom. And again, nothing is off the table as long as they know what they are, they know what it is. I'm willing to spend the money with them, just as long as you understand who we are, and what we are, and what we're all about. Manage and measure. What's happened so far? Well, in January, we were 5% up from the previous year. But most importantly, it was our biggest January in our 2-year history, and we were profitable. Now, in a Zerorez corporation, being profitable in January and February is actually a pretty big deal. February, as I was talking to colleagues, was a 2-week month for a lot of people. We got amen, brothers. Yeah. We were shut down 3 days, and it's hard to navigate a 4,000-pound vehicle in that kind of ice, so it was what it was. But March, we're on our pace to have our biggest month in history. And again, I think it's by finding the messaging, and it's finding who your audience is, and manage and measure. And I really appreciate this opportunity. And I tell people before, I'm not really an expert in anything. I like to say I'm dangerous in a bar conversation. If you want to talk to Google AdWords, you probably talk to Elise. If you want to talk social, you talk to Cole. But again, I like to say I'm dangerous because I know a lot about different things. And I can't draw a figure, but I can tell you what's wrong with it. And I can sell it. And I can write a marketing strategy about it. So I preface this by saying don't fleece me by throwing all kinds of terms at me right now. So anyway, any questions? I'll be happy to answer anything.